Hello and welcome back. My name is Max. This is Supraliminal Games. We are doing more MTG Arena for you today. Gonna give it a whirl. Gonna see if we can actually win a game. That'd be sweet. So I want to show you the deck. I have yet again worked on it. When we last saw it, it was a Grixis controlled deck, and I have enabled sounds if you're wondering what is going on. We are now switched to full Dimir, and if I learned to double click it would help a lot. We've gone full on Dimir control at this point. I have dropped red. I just don't think it was worth the trade-off. Abrade's great. Not a lot of people are playing the utility artifacts, at least that I've played against at the tier I'm in, which is still low. So I don't think it's quite enough flexibility. I think Lightning Strike is sweet. Unfortunately, I don't think there's really a home for it here. So I have moved to a more control-heavy style build. I have kind of ripped those out, put in counter spells, and I've been doing a little bit better. Let's go ahead and run through the deck list real quick that we have thus far. Opt 3, Duress 2, Censor 2, Chart a Course 2, Essence Scatter 3, Negate 2, Strategic Planning 2. Just a moment while I scroll down. Moment of Craving 2, Pull from Tomorrow 2. Champion of Wits 1, Kefnet the Mindful 1, Supreme Will 1, Cancel 3, Doomfall 1, Reaver Ambush 2, Golden Demise still 2. I do want to not be cold to the Creature Swarm decks. I still want to have an out, but I don't need all that many. And some of the cards like Champion of Wits early, and then the Chupacabras, the Vizier, the Hostage Takers, which we'll get to in a moment, have all been really pretty decent at stopping the dedicated Swarm decks. So I've had some pretty good luck there. As alluded to previously, Vizier of Many Faces, 2 Ravenous Chupacabra, 2 Hostage Taker, 2 Hieroglyphic Illumination, 1 Glyph Keeper, 1 Scarab God, 1 Nizal, and 1 Consign to Oblivion. The Glyph Keeper, the Scarab God, and the Nizal are just all of our win conditions. The Consign to Oblivion is a nice little answer to certain things, and also a good option in the control mirrors, because Oblivion, having them Mind Rot, well, you know, it's an expensive Mind Rot, but having them Mind Rot is still pretty sweet. So overall, I've been a little happier with this build. Sensors in there can cycle and help out our early draws, or it can be a counter. Duress has been pretty solid. I'd like to move away from Duress and more towards maybe something a little bit more flexible, like a Doomfall. But obviously, we need uncommon wild cards. Right now, our wild cards are slim pickings. We're at 1 uncommon wild card. You can see it right here. You can see it as I go up to the top. Just 1 lonely uncommon wild card, which I've considered making a Supreme Will. I think it's pretty good. I think you kind of need it. It's got good flexibility. It's good in the late game because you can just impulse with it. It's good early on because of the counter spell mode. I think it's relatively flexible in a lot of games. I don't think it's a 4 of. I think it's 2 to 3 of in the white decks, especially in the Approach deck, which is Approach of the Second Sons. I think it's a very good card because you can use the impulse mode as a way to get to your second approach much quicker. So I think it's got more implications in other control builds, but I think in this deck it's still a solid 2 up for sure. My land base has not changed much. 2 desert, 2 blue desert, 2 black desert, 6 island, 4 swamp, 4 evolving wilds, 1 field of ruin. I just wanted to address the evolving wilds because I was talking with a friend today about evolving wilds and how it can be used to shuffle your library and remove another land. So simply by playing an evolving wilds, you're not only hitting your land drop and getting the color you need, you're also pulling a land out of the deck so you don't draw it later. Now, it's not like this is a huge deal. It's not like it's increasing our chances of winning by a ton, but what it does is it helps with those draws even just a little bit, and sometimes in the longer game that can really help, and especially right now when we're lacking in card manipulation and consistency in the deck with a lot of 1s and 2s. I really think that something like that helps out quite a bit. So that all being said, you're here for games. Let's play some games. Am I right? So we're going to go ahead and play. We have our Dimir deck selected, so we are going to play. Match found, not even a second. We have RE Superstar 1, or RC Superstar 1. We'll be sure to give them the hellos, as is, you know that I'm all about it. I mean, that's customary. We do that around these parts. Except for Dan, who forgets from time to time. Shame on Dan. See if they keep their 7. It's not a snap keep, I can tell you that much. Whoop. There's our hand. I was playing around with clicking things. I have the sounds enabled, as I'm sure you heard at the beginning of the video. I have not played this with sounds since the very early beta stages, so it's all pretty interesting to me. This hand looks fairly consistent. We have an opt, we have 2 opts, we have an Evolving Wilds, we have, Swamp and an Island, Censor and an Essence Scatter. I think we have a pretty solid suite of things. I want to lead on the Wilds for an Island. We have a blue-heavy hand. The deck's a little bit more blue-heavy these days. So I think we're going to lead Evolving Wilds into Island unless our first draw has us go in a different direction. But I don't think first turn opting is worth chancing having a tapped land on our 3rd turn when we're kind of begging for everything a little bit more. Everything being untapped lands. I almost talked my way through our hellos. Gotta get them hellos in. Just be polite, people. I have not had one person yet. I'm not even kidding. This is not hyperbole. I have not had a single person hello me first. I've always been the initiator of a hello. Okay. So we are on the tokens deck, or against the tokens deck, more likely. Could also be the cat deck, the Selesnya cat deck. Let's go ahead and crack this Evolving Wilds. Very unexciting things, but all things we need to do. And again, I'm still thinking Island is the way to go. I'm hoping I don't feel too bad about that. Reaver Ambush was a disgustingly good draw, by the way. So I'm really into that. It lets us deal with this Adorned Pouncer very easily. Unless they pump it up a good deal. They have to pump it up by over a +2/+2. Which I don't think they're going to have the ability to do, which is just fantastic. Got a Chef at Dunes over here. Lets him do things. Pump up his creatures. We're going to take the hit here. We have to take that hit twice. A Danto Vanguard is troublesome. It could be Essence Scattered here. I'm thinking that's probably the way to go. We have the opportunity to trade, and we need these 1-for-1 trades and build up with card advantage a little later on. So I'm going to go ahead and Reaver Ambush now while there's nothing really crazy that can pump that high. Just take care of that right on the spot. It may impact his... Oh, nope. I was going to say it may impact how he plays the next couple turns, but... yeah, it's no skin off my nose. So, he was no lands pass. If it's just a kind of regular great creature, I will not counter, I will not censor it, but if he taps out for something fancy, I will attempt to counter it, and he is not, so we're going to go ahead and opt. Chart, of course, I don't think we really need more card selection, per se. I think we need more powerful cards. Of course, we were going to draw an island because I said that. But that's okay, we need to make our land drops. I'm willing to take a hostage taker in this match. It's insane. That's the kind of thing we want to be doing. I'd like to tap. I'm not a big fan of the auto-tapping. From time to time, I get ahead of myself and use it, and it always ends up biting me. Jeez. I don't necessarily not want to take Nizal here, because we do need a win condition at some point. We're up to 5 lands. I would not like to miss our land drop. We've used our ops. Island's kind of hard, but I think they're better off in the bin. I'd like to keep making our land drops, because that is indeed what control decks want to be doing. But there is a... like, you know, if I get this down on turn 7, because I draw land, or even turn 8, I feel like this is so hard to beat for the way... Though he may have a removal spell. But I'm going to go ahead and cycle the Censor. Because what are the odds he's going to tap out? There's a land. So we're in good shape here. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to end the turn. All we want to be doing is making our land drops and trading 1-for-1. You can see he's trying to build, or she, sorry. I tend to masculinize things. It's not intentional. It's just a habit. It looks like they're trying to build up to a critical mass of spells, or they're just having trouble hitting their lands and they're glutted with good stuff. Regal Caracol. I think I'm going to cancel it because of simply the number of creatures that come out of that one creature. If it was a singleton creature, I would just let it go. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to blow up the desert here as well. Because I don't need him pumping his things later on, and I have nothing to do with that mana otherwise. So I'll thin my deck of a land, and I'll also take the troublesome effect land off the board right now. Because, like I said, that could definitely come back to kill us later on. Again, our hand is very blue heavy, so I want to go for a blue source. Alright, so we have a Desert of the Mindful here, which is a little disheartening. I'm tempted to cycle it, simply because if we get an untapped land, we're in no different of a place. But if we get something that's a little bit more gas, that's a good thing too. So I think I'm going to wait till end of turn, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cycle it. I don't see a reason to just fire off throwing it into play tap, simply to just cast Nizal. Boom. Here's what I did. I think the desert's a little bit more useful here. Yeah, Regal Caracol was a bit of a bummer that he cast, because that's a hard one to deal with, because he still lands things. Interesting. A little bit of curve filler here with the Legion Conquistador. I'm totally fine with that. He can cast exactly one of them right now. And I'll be able to I can Chupacabra it without much of a hitch. I can just cast Nizal and kind of not care. We are going to cycle the desert again right now. Doomfall, not bad. So, with 6 lands, again, we're still in a bit of a bummer spot. Again, I know, we could have played the land, you could have played the land, but I still think this was a better choice. I'm interested in Doomfall, to a degree. I'm not really scared of the Conquistador beats, so I think I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to tap Swamp to do it, to make it look like I'm obviously keeping up a lot of blue sources. And I'm going to go for their hand, because at the bare minimum I get the same thing, which is a Legion Conquistador, and infinite Regal Caracols are in here. Appeal. I'm just going to take Ixalan's Binding, because again, our plan to win is through Nizal. I may cycle the Hieroglyphic Illumination, which is not the best value at this point in the game, but I am still stuck on land. Granted, again, I know. Keep complaining about me cycling land, I still think it was the right play. Just so I can try to get through cards quickly, because in the next 2 cards, there's a pretty decent chance. 36, I have 24 land, I have 6 out, I have 1 in the bin, 2 in the bin, so there's a good chance, and I don't really care about the Queen's Commission too much. Again, I can turn the tide of this game pretty fast, so I'm not too worried about these kind of anemic little creature cards, because if I just tap out Nizal, he'll probably untap, and Regal Caracol would be my guess, because the Queen's Commission was his card, so I'm going to go ahead and cycle this. I love that it gives you the option even though you can't afford it. Would you like to do this? I would love to do that. Well, then pay for it. I cannot. So let's see here. I'm tempted to Chupacabra. Just blow up a Conquistador, blow up a token. I think I'm going to do that. It's tough to tap 4 here, though, because I like keeping the cancel up. Maybe I'll just pass turn. Lets me Moment of Craving if they do anything sketchy. It also lets me cancel if they try another Caracol. I really want to keep the cancel up if I can here until Nizal just goes wham. That way, I can make sure I maintain control of the game, because the Caracol will get out of control pretty quick. So I'm not a huge fan of that. We gotta watch these Appeal to Authorities too, because that's gross. This card's nuts, so I'm gonna go ahead and cancel that. Anything that is multiple cards we want to deal with, if we can. And as cleanly as possible. I don't care about the 2 points of life gain. This isn't a game that's going to be really decided on, it's not like I'm a burn deck, and it's going to come down to kind of card v card action. It's not going to be like that at all. Alright, there's our tapped land, which is super disheartening. Here, I just don't feel the need to really tap out for much. Chupacabring a vampire token is so kind of low impact. I'm starting to feel the need to commit to the board, because I really kind of need this game to end. But I think Nizal's going to do that, and keeping 3 cards up to exile Nizal in case by now they've drawn an answer. I don't know how many answers these decks really run for the board. It shouldn't be too many, but it's probably at least a player set between Cast Out and Ixalan's Binding. So, I mean, because the mid-range decks and especially the mid-range decks, like the Monsters style decks, as well as some of the controlier decks like ours, present answers that are really hard to deal with, like Scarab God, things of that nature. And the mid-range decks are playing, the Phoenix, things like that. So it's it's tough for these low-end beats to get around this, so they will run a few of these removal-style spells. But so far, yeah, everything's pretty anemic. I'm totally fine with the Bishop Soldier. I still, again, only feel the need to grab blue sources. Well, I feel that need, but it is not going to come to fruition because we have everything we can get. So now a couple options have presented themselves with this draw of an Essence Scatter. Is I can hold up for the Essence Scatter, I can play the Chupacabra, which is really tempting, and the reason is because I can play the Chupacabra, blow up the Soldier, I have the board answered, and I can hold up the Essence Scatter. That just sounds so much better than tapping out for a Dinosaur right now to me. If you think I'm wrong, please, the comments are down there. Have at it. But I'm going to slaughter this Bishop Soldier. And again, I'm going to tap very intentionally to hold this up, because you can see my opponent's playing scared. He's also stuck on land, or she is stuck on land. So that's really hard for them. Being stuck on land is rough, and you want to... This kind of deck overcomes a control deck by getting to 2 spells a turn, and they are just not able to overcome it because they're just stuck on land. At a point, they will be able to do it, but I'm hoping it's by the time they've thrown away a lot of these big threats. And again, anything that is an X for 1, I want to try to deal with. If it's a creature that just comes down and is pretty good, I'm fine with that. I will totally block the Conquistador. Because, again, with 2 appeals to authority, I don't know as though they want to be trading 1 for 1 with me here. But clearly that's an option that they value, so we'll see how it goes. But here we're going to have to fight... We're going to have to fight a Regal Caracol, because he is, or she is 100% going to be dropping that into play. Almost without question. See? It just provides a lot of good blockers for Nizal, who has no evasion of any kind. But we hold the board back pretty much exclusively with this. I can also hostage take the Regal Caracol, which is disgusting. So I think I'm going to do that and hold up Negate for any kind of removal. And then I get a Regal Caracol, and they're going to have to answer it. I still don't think I want to be delivering the beats when they're 4 life up until the board becomes a little bit better. But I could see an argument for attacking there. But they're just going to chump block with a Vampire and gain a life, or with a Cat. And Appeal is a sorcery, so we don't have to worry about getting appealed in response to blocks or anything weird. There's the Ixalan's Binding I talked about. And we are just simply going to go ahead and negate that. And again, because they're stuck on land, so I feel bad for the opponent because they could be doing multiple things per turn. And just they're completely stonewalled by... They may just appeal to why not I'm not using it to try to get some attacks in. Like, I'll trade a token to get some damage in. Because I won't... If it's get plus... Yeah, where X number of creatures, it'd be getting +4/+4. And I would not block with the Hostage Taker there for a one-time effect. And Authority, untap with 2 creatures, they can... Yeah, it's not a very good card. It just looks so bad compared to what we're up to. So, I'm going to tap black, 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 blue, blue, and I'm going to cast the Regal Caracol. That cat noise is really unsettling. I will play a Swamp. Now combat feels good. I'm happy to let them lose 9 life here if they choose. But this is what's tough. Mid-range, generally, and I mean, this is a general sense, so feel free to educate me as well. I'm not a pro by any stance. I have no pro points. Mid-range generally has a tougher time against control because they're built on casting 1 spell per turn on a good curve, where control is very, very easy, has a very easy time with that because they're good at countering spells with, you know, cheap counter spells plus playing something else by the middle of the game. So it's like, I'll play a little... That's why Delver's so good, right? Because Delver, you can play it on the cheap. It presents a clock that you have to deal with. And then as soon as you get to untap, you have, you know, counter spell mana at the ready on 2. So, you know, you have to deal with the Delver. You have to try to do it around counter magic. That's how it's path to that's this deck's path to victory. Where a mid-range deck is trying to play a 2-drop, a 3-drop, a 4-drop, a 5-drop, and they just get better and better and better with these big curve beats. So, let's see if I can opt me out an Essence Scatter. That's a pull from tomorrow is pretty good. Tough to kind of bottom that for a draw, but I'll deal. Oh boy, we had a different unsettling cat sound this time. Well, unfortunately, we're at a point where we can't really attack them. But we have this Kefnet in our hand to let us kind of come back and start to attack the game from a different angle. Or we just rip a Golden Demise. Okay. Oh my god, this is gross. I feel bad doing this. Eek. Sorry, opponent. That's rough. They can block our 7/7 and take 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But I just don't even see how they come back from this. I feel like it's a scoop situation. Yeah. They've entered scoop mode. And I finally have my first win for you guys. And gals. Sorry again with the masculinizing things. I apologize. Man, look at all that gold we just got. We completed, cast 12 blue spells. Blue or white spells. We cast exclusively 12 blue spells to get that. Oh, that's funny. Attack with 15 creatures. We attack with way more creatures than I thought we would that game. So, great stuff. Guess what? We have enough for a pack. Let's open a pack. We love packs. I'm in control mode. I'm trying to get cards from... Oh, I have to go to the store. I think I have to go to this... Wait, do we just have a Rivals of Ixalan pack? I'm going to go to the store first and buy this in case it's just tempting me to buy it oddly. I'm going to buy a pack of Amonkhet because it's just one of the best sets for the control decks. It also has a few little perks for my mono red deck. So I'd like to do that. Oops. Not decks, packs. We want packs. Let's open this Rivals of Ixalan pack I didn't know I had. I love the animation of the pack opening. It's really good. This is a common wild card if you're not familiar. The wild cards can be traded for anything at the same rarity, which is such a fantastic feature. So if you're not familiar, there that is. Uncommons are Forerunner of the Legion and Pirate's Pillage. And we'll see what our rare is. It is a Protean Raider, which I actually just picked up in a win with this deck the other day. So I have 2 Protean Raiders now, which is certainly something. Amonkhet, treat me right. Cancel, ooh, uncommon wild card. Doubles up our uncommon wild cards. Devoted Cropmate's a sweet card. I don't know if it's playable in this format. Wandering Death I love. Let's see what we got. Ooh, Dusk Till Dawn. I can't use it, but it's sweet. For when I build my Approach for the Second Sun control deck. Unlike Dan, I tend to favor control strategies, tempo strategies, things like that. I also am a big sucker for, like, obs on nonsense, like junk-style legacy deck, or like an aristocrat-style build. Things that are managing your resources and using them to overwhelm your opponent are very attractive to me. So, we got a game in. Let's do one more, and maybe I'll try to sneak in a quick one with my red deck wins. But hopefully I can get another win for you guys and gals on camera. So, Bronze Rank 1 isn't out of the possibility of winning, but it's going to be very hard to win, I think, because you really have to fight through these standings. This is a flat mulligan. We can cast a Duress, and then double blue, double blue, double blue, double blue. No way. No way we're keeping that. Almost just did, but there's no way we should be keeping that. Let's see what our opponent does. Kind of a snap keep. We saw that was a very fast keep. I think we sadly have to keep this one. We have 2 lands. One's a colorless land, but we can get to a blue source. We can use it to cast Chart of Course. We can use it to Essence Scatter. I think sadly this is a keeper for us. We get a Scry that is 100% staying on top. I'm going to Evolving Wilds, and I'm going to end the turn. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to wait to crack the Wilds now, because I'd rather have the Swamp and not cast the Chart of Course on 2. Oh, we forgot our hellos. Gotta get that hello in. Always with the hello. I'm getting no hello. Getting nothing here. Nothing on the hello. Oh, there we go. Alright, alright, alright. They probably think that we're stupid and we forgot. And we're against a blue-black mirror, it looks like. So that's pretty exciting. Let's get our swamp. Or, our swamp. Let's get our swamp. Island. Let's get our blue swamp, we call it island. I think I'm going to go ahead and attempt to Chart a Course. If they want to negate it, I don't feel too bad about making that trade right now. I think it's going to come up. It's going to be far more important later, so I'm going to go ahead and tap that for a colorless. Tap that for a blue, and I'll try to Chart a Course. I don't see any reason to do that, and I don't see any reason to keep 2 Reaver Ambush. I think Reaver Ambush is pretty anemic, but I think the amount of exert. I picked the one thing that it's not. Embalm, and whatever, Eternalize. Jeez. I think the amount of that really does call for something to be able to answer it. I think we're just going to end turn here. Got an opt up if I need it. Nothing I can field, unfortunately. I do have 4 distinct different lands in a 2-color deck on the 4th turn, which is pretty funny. We'll throw out an opt. I don't think they're going to counter it. I, unfortunately, need this land. This land is my land. I need that land. Flowing Wilds. Let's crack it now. We're not holding for anything on top of our deck at this point. And our opponent is in hold mode. I'm certain they're going to attempt a Hieroglyphic Illumination here, and unfortunately we're going to have to let that stand. Because we have just flat out no way to answer it. If I did have a way to answer it, I don't think I would here because our opponent's up on cards after our mulligan. We've done a little bit to select our cards, but we haven't gained any card velocity. So that makes it a little tricky. But we're just going to have to hold tight and just hope that our draws really coordinate with us, which is not a spot I want to be in against a mirror. But it looks like our opponent's having a bit of a time as well. Cause it's hard for me to tell what phase they're in. I think they're in their end. Yeah, they're in their end step. I didn't think for a minute. I was like, they can't be in their end step. Kefnet's an interesting one. I could throw him out, and it'll leave me with a Censor backup, which I think is an attractive choice, because if they try to land something on their 4th turn under my Kefnet, it gives me a pretty interesting, like, kind of out-of-nowhere Censor. So I'm going to try to land Kefnet here. We'll see how they respond. I'm sure if they have a way to counter it, they will attempt to. Yep, counter unless we pay 3. We cannot, so that will resolve. Cancel. I don't like that it says cancel. Like, it's a weird thing to... Not all counter spells are cancels. I don't know, it just feels weird. But we have Essence Scatter up, and we have Censor up. Feeling pretty good about that. They may feel a little bit desperate and try something where they tap out here for a 4-drop of some kind and just do something. Alright, since they did nothing, I'm going to go ahead and cycle the Censor. They are a little tight on mana, but we also need to kind of get the game moving. And the onus is most assuredly on us. If I land this Duress and I get a Soul Counterspell out of their hand, I can cast this Glyph Keeper here. So this is a very big game. And definitely a reason we wanted to turn that Censor into something else. And now I can just land the Glyph Keeper here under their removal. So that's going to be hard to answer, I think. They're going to need 2 removal spells to do so. I mean, they could definitely have them. It's not out of the question by any stretch. But this is going to be hard to answer on 4 mana. Yeah, see, now they feel the need. They have to get things moving. They don't have time anymore to kind of just draw and trade discard steps with me. And, you know, even though we mulliganed here in a control mirror, we're actually doing okay. Now I have time to kind of hold back and just get in my combat steps. And there you go. And I want to talk about this a little bit, because this is a topic that I find to be very interesting. And I'm not a big player of online games. Let's just claim our rewards real quick. Oh, okay. You can't flip them by clicking on the little symbol. I'm not a player of online games, and Dan from Supraliminal Games brought this up to me, that generally in these kind of ranking situations, you want to play as many games as possible so that you maximize your chance of winning. So a lot of people lean towards more aggressive, faster paced decks, which is really funny because I am so naive to this kind of thing. I'm just like, whoa, I can just play Magic? I'm going to play the deck I want, which again, I lean towards these kind of slower control strategies or attrition type strategies. So when Dan explained it to me, I was like, duh, like, why didn't I think of that? But it does make sense, and so for that reason, you'll see a lot of control players where he still had multiple draw steps. He had 3 more cards, or 2 more cards, attack down to 10, attack down to 5, attack to dead. So yeah, he had 2 more cards he could have drawn in that time to help get his or herself out of it. That wasn't really worth the percentage was pretty low, and clearly they didn't think it was worth their time when they could just go jam another game, which is far more valuable to them than that. What do I have to do here? Ooh, if I win one more game, we can get some cool stuff. So, I guess we'll try one more. I may break this up into 2 videos at this point. So if I do, I will see you in part 2. And if I didn't, you're going to watch the game with me right now. Ooh, match found right at the start. If this is a 2-parter, again, I'm not sure at the time of recording because I didn't set a timer like an idiot. My name is Max, and this is Supraliminal Games. I just want to thank you so much for getting this far into the video, or if it's a 2-parter, thank you so much for watching the second part of this. I'm real excited. Again, we're here with a Dimir deck this time. I stripped it down from a Grixis build. Looks like we have a good keep here. I'll talk a little bit more about that as we go. Just looks like a very solid starting hand. It looks like we're going to be off to the races against a blue-white control deck. So I want to lead with an island here. And we got our hellos back. I'm very big on the hello. And again, if I said this already because it's all in the same video, I apologize. But I'm big on the hellos. And again, I've never had anybody initiate a hello before. I always have to start the hellos, which is a little... One of these days, ooh, can't just bottom that Reaver Ambush here. Because this is, in fact, not an approach deck, but it is the blue-white token deck. So, all of a sudden... These Reaver Ambushes are going to pay off pretty nicely for us. We got our Censor here in case they try anything funny, any funny 3-drops, which is possible. They could just go with an Anointer Priest, which I believe is a 2-drop. I believe it's a 1/3 for 2. Not 100% on that, though. Was not expecting a Black Source and a Festering Mummy, though. This is quite the line. Yeah, I didn't expect this. I'm actually not sure what's going on. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cycle the Censor. Oh, that's... Actually, it seemed kind of lame that I got another Censor, but that's actually not bad at all. Because now I can hold up the Censor, or I can hold up the Reaver Ambush. Depending on what goes on and how they tap. Because, again, I was not expecting the Festering Mummy. So you may put the counter. I was hoping it was a half. I mean, they don't do that magic cards like that anymore. Oh, okay, this is cool. This is like an Esper Zombies deck. I'm going to go ahead and remove the Lord of the Accursed and just get hit for 2 as opposed to 3. I like holding up Hieroglyphic Illumination plus possible Censor here. Hieroglyphic Illumination will give us some more answers. Adorn Pouncer unfortunately resolves. Yeah, and it's meowing at me. I'd like to draw 2 cards, please. Hostage Taker was a disgusting draw. Just wanted to, in case y'all weren't aware. Oh, I'm thinking. Next, here's the thing, and here's what I'm thinking about. If I throw out the Hostage Taker naked here, I can't immediately cast the Adorn Pouncer. If I take a hit, I can Moments Craving the Mummy, still hold up the Censor. I could also, conversely, Doomfall my opponent's hand, and then hold up the Moments Craving or the Censor. So I'm going to go for that. We're going to tap these for some colorless mana, these Efnir Deadlands, because if you auto-tap, one of the things I definitely do not like is... Oh, wait. Oh, it's Control-Z, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, that lets you untap. So if you make a mistake, like with any program, Control-Z is your friend. We want to do one of those, and one of those, so then that way we have the option to hold up for Moment of Craving, or we can Censor if need be. So let's go ahead and Doomfall. And I'm going to go with... they're just going to Mummy, so if I didn't have Mummy out, I would... I'm not afraid of... I'm not really afraid of anything on the board, so I'd rather go for their hand. Opponent making a little bit of fun of us. Let's see here. I get the... Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's a meme for you. I don't think the Moment of Craving is necessarily worth it, but I'm going to do it. It feels bad. I'm going to do it on the Mummy. Because it's only 1 life that I gain, but it negates the cat attack besides the 1 life. And I just take 2 damage off the Adoran Pouncer, which is live-withable. This tap land is kind of ruining my day. Cancel that order. This is brutal. Again, I don't want to throw out... I know I have 1 card now. The odds are they probably don't have a way to deal with the Hostage Taker. It makes me want to try it, but if they happen to draw something and get rid of the Hostage Taker, they just get the Pouncer back. But if I can cast the Pouncer, I'm in good shape. So I think I'm going to throw the Desert down, and then I'm going to try to just pull from Tomorrow. Try to get some selection. Again, if they tap out for something, which at this point is really unlikely. I would like to pull from Tomorrow, please. We're in X's 3. Vizier Many Faces problem. Nah, Charter Course seems kind of weak. Though, with the Hostage Taker coming down. Oh, did I miscount last turn? Maybe I miscounted. I'm insane. I don't know. If you're watching this and you think I'm insane, it could be because I am. But I still managed to get cards. I still managed to do everything. I may have taken a little bit of extra damage from what I intended. Yeah, I would have been able to cast that last turn. So I took a little bit of extra damage. So if I lose by 2 damage, you can all laugh at me. Okay. So it's got the 4/4 cat. And of course they had a removal spell. On point. But we get a timely removal spell. Go us. Choop, choop, choop. And I auto-tapped like a jackass. And as I mentioned in the last video or earlier in this video, depending, auto-tap is BS. So I'm just going to go ahead and strategically plan. I will take a cancel here. Even though I could have taken the island and held up the sensor, at this point they're not tapping out. Yeah. No need to. I could have attacked. I'm still going to hold back just in case of shenanigans. I think they're kind of stuck. So I think we pretty much have this one in the bag. Let's go ahead and combat. Feels pretty bad that they are still above 20 after that attack. I think I'm just going to toss the other Chupacabra out. Is that a waste? I feel like with the Vizier it's not. So lets me hold up enough to... actually, I want to make sure I go. I could have if near dead landed, but that is very mana intensive. I can still do that to the token next turn basically for free if I want. And this lets me hold up a cancel. And also now I have significant damage on the board. He can't counter a spell because they're using an ability. With that particular card, I am going to counter that. Though it would have done more to them than to me. But I don't have a way to remove it right now from the board, so I have to just counter it on the stack. Which is the sad thing. Go ahead and kill this thing. It puts us under the point where we can't cast cancel or Supreme Will, but I'm kind of okay with that. Yeah, that's fine. Hieroglyphic Elimination are going to do too much for us. And I get to censor. Which is fantastic. We haven't really had the time to cycle that. They kind of bite it by being able to get to a turn finally where they can cast 2 spells. And from here on out, we will not be tapping out. As a matter of fact, odds are pretty good, but we will not be tapping on our turn. I did have a way to deal with it on board. Zero many faces. The boy can't lose. So there you go. How is that? Ooh, 4 another coalition. Not bad, not bad. I think the pirate deck is the weakest of the precons, but I still think it's pretty good. I'm on a hot streak here. Why can I not win this? I feel like it's just always one more than it's supposed to be. How many times am I supposed to get this? 3 out of 4. I feel like it was just 2 out of 3. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. Waiting for a new quest. I'm like, what does that mean? White-black deck? Really? I'm not playing vampires. So, yeah, let's try. I'm apprehensive to win or run one back with the red deck, because call me a gambler, I guess, but we're on a pretty good tear. So I'm going to go ahead and try to play one more in the hopes that I can get us up to 2 videos, so I don't sound like a crazy person in the middle of video 1. So hopefully this is a little bit longer of a... Oh, that's speaking of our losing streak ending. Please don't be abandon the match. Gold 2, are you kidding me? And I'm on the mulligan, and I go first. Ugh. Things are looking real bad here. Things are looking to end pretty miserably. Yeesh. Mulligan to 5. Ugh. We gotta keep because we're on a land opt, and we get it. Ugh. I'm so losing this game. Got a really fast hello, though. I'm not gonna give up, obviously. I'm not going to opt because I know I want the card on top, so it would just be pay a blue, draw a card. Losing a little bit of the value of the scry there, and I just... Why bother? I'm going to Evolving Wilds before I opt, obviously, to try to set up my deck a little bit better and also take a land out of the deck. I wish I had a counter. We're going to get buried by card selection here, unfortunately. I'm going to get a blue because every card in our hand is. And blue matters way more in this match than black does. Well, at least we're finding land, so I can't gripe too much. Now here's the game where this is going to look mighty shabby. Be cool if they were a mono blue, but I doubt it with Evolving Wilds. Would be cool, though. You can switch your lands for free to the full art basics. I don't care enough to do that. Yeah, I don't see any reason here to do anything. Just gonna go ahead and pass the turn, unfortunately. This is just, I mean, his or her draw steps are so much better than ours. It's crazy. They're throwing away pull from tomorrow's. Like, it just feels really bad. I'm gonna guess this is strictly blue-white approach. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna cycle this because there's no way they're gonna let us cast it, and we're still trying to hit our cards here. We still want our spells. Doomfalling here, I mean, I may be able to pull an approach out of their hand. They're still 3 lands away from approach. It looks like they're digging for lands based on the way their searches are going so far, and never mind on that theory. So I'm not exactly sure what they're looking for. Maybe they're just looking for approach exclusively. But approach is very, very happy to play draw go. It's at its best when it's playing draw go. It's a really good deck. Oh, maybe it is not. Maybe it is an Eternalized deck. Hey, do I care about a 2/3 that gains life? No, because I can just try to Reaver ambush it. I should have probably done this in response to the trigger just to stop them from gaining 2 life. But, meh. Yeesh, this is brutal. I'm going to go for the Doomfall here. Insta just gave me the Doomfall. The other 2 are pretty much dedicated to stopping me from doing things, so I'll get rid of any Eternalized threats they have. This may just be a control deck. I mean, it still could be approach. Do not get me wrong. These cards are fantastic to gum up the board at a 2/3. The butt's fantastic. They block all day long. They gain you life. It's exactly what you want in a creature-based game. So I think they're a fantastic choice from our opponent. They both eternalize. Like, it's just very, very good. I'm again going to cycle this because our opponent will flat out... Well, they don't have the ability to counter it when we saw their hand. But... by Evolving Wilds here, it lets me cycle the desert. And again, I'll be searching for an island. Because swamps just matter so very little in this match. I'm not convinced they're on token. Or not on approach. I just want to point that out here. Okay, they're embalming the priest. Yeesh. Welcome to Counterspell City, where it doesn't really matter against Embalm. And that's why this ability is so good, because it gets under counter magic. That's part of the reason you have to also run removal in these decks. So it does ask a lot of these control decks. Oh, Arch. I was like, why do they have the City's Blessing? Arch. Right over here. Yeesh. I think I'm going to try to pull for 2, and if they want to counter it, be my guest. They oopsed at me. I guess they didn't mean to pass their turn. I think I may have to keep that Golden Demise for a rainy day. I think that means we're unfortunately going to have to discard a pull from tomorrow. Because these other spells, of course, I drew the Censor now, which would have been a fantastic card to discard. If Island and Censor were reversed, that would have been great. Not sure what our opponent meant to do. They oopsed, however. Yeah, not stopping him. Or her. Again, the masculizing things. I apologize. I know it doesn't excuse it. I'm working on it. You can hear it. I'm struggling, but I'm working on it. So if you want to give me guff in the comments, I totally understand. So let's see here. 36 cards versus 38 cards. Says not a whole lot. At this point, I figure we'd be buried in a little bit heavier card advantage. But they can do a lot of things with this deck that just simply can't be countered, which is very, very powerful. I'm going to cycle this Censor because a million lands, chances are they're not tapping out. Champion's a good draw. I'll try Champion. If they want to fight over it, that's fine. It matches up poorly against their Anointer Priest. So I don't think they're going to... For that reason, I really doubt they'd want to counter. With 2 cancel, I'm going to go Swamp Cancel. Because Cancel's rough here because it's going to be hard for me to get into a counter war that's very expensive. I mean, it's just their card selection's so good. The fact they haven't gotten past, they just aren't really turning too many things over. Which is, I think, wise. Their mana's fairly well tied up. Can they hold? Can they approach plus hold? So they can't approach plus counterspell. Vizier of Many Faces? Vizier of Many Faces? Do I care? Yeah, you can have it. I don't really see what countering it's gonna... I understand what they're going for. But that's fine. I'm sure they're going to get rid of this Baffling End. I know about. And B is going to do very little. I mean, unless they want to Baffling End this Champion of Wits, which is possible. I will definitely try to fight a counter war against it. I'm gonna try the cancel because the negate is just cheaper. So Supreme Will would have been about the only thing that could have countered it there, or a negate. But I don't think they can afford to swing in here and just let my champion die for me to then untap and eternalize it. I don't know why they're doing that. I will block so it goes to the graveyard and I can get more cards. I'll try to duress them. Yeah, they're a strict counter deck. Token, not counter, excuse me. A lot of this is so bad against us. I'm going to get rid of the procession, because that actually does work here. Yeah, I'm fine taking 3 here. I get a 16. No big deal at all. The beats are a little anemic at the moment, and I'm fine with that. I'd also like to draw our other Reaver Ambush if possible. So I do believe we drew that before. Yes, that's how we got rid of the initial champion that's in the exile zone. Definitely don't mind taking 3 here. I'm going to try to opt. Obviously, I'm pretty sure this is going to resolve. Glyph Keeper, we know will not resolve, so I'm going to move him to the bottom. Them to the bottom. Yes. That's not a bad one. Not a bad one. They can Desert's Hold, but I just want the cards. Wow, 1 land and all that, by the way. The 1 land and all that makes this feel so bad. Essence Scatter seems like a weird discard, but it's not that good against them because their cards can all usually be recalled from the graveyard with the Embalm and Eternalize abilities. Wonder if they'll just go for the instant speed cast out here. Nope, rather go for the Sunken Ruin. The Desert's Hold's much better because it keeps the creature in play, and they can copy this if their Vizier dies. So I feel like we're gonna get, maybe we're gonna get cast out. Maybe they're gonna go Procession while we're tapped out. It's a good move. Anointed Procession is very hard to deal with. So this is gonna be a really hard match for us to win. I know I sent the Glyph Keeper to the bottom, and you're all screaming about the Glyph Keeper, but at the time, we weren't looking for a win condition. We were looking for a way to deal. But now we're against an opponent who has a path to victory and a win condition of their own in play with this Anointed Procession. So we need to begin to answer things ASAP. I like Desert's Hold because of the life gain, and it keeps the thing on the board. Again, the beats don't bother me too much. I do like the way they built their deck quite a bit. This opponent's got a really nice build here. A good kind of mixture of control. Feels like they're not flat out dead against the aggro decks of the format. I think it is pretty sweet. We know they have Essence Scatter, so we know these things aren't resolving very easily. This Moment of Craving feels bad against a Vizier that can come back as our flipped Vizier, or our flipped Champion of Wits. So I'm not in love with any of those plays, I can tell you that much. We're definitely in a tight spot here. Don't really know what our path to victory is at this point, and our opponent has a pretty clear one carved out for themselves. They have a couple more tokens inbound. Just trying to think of how we win here. Well, we're jamming this guy. It's not the best play ever, but it's certainly not the worst play ever. Excuse me, a little bit of allergies. I didn't realize that, until my nose started dripping, that, yeah, the weather's been changing, like, a lot. So, I think we're going to get cast outed, but, I mean, we have to, Unfortunately, we're going to have to do something, and I have plenty of cards to discard that kind of suck. More cards are coming. We're going to hit up Shoops. Man, some of these cards are really bad. And Nizal's pretty good in these control mirrors because it just answers so much. But what's cool is I do that in response, and then they can choose to die. But whatever, it gets the thing off the board and deals with my Vizier. So I'm not too sad about that. So I'd rather them deal with this, get this off the battlefield, so if this comes back... I mean, granted, they'd probably take Nizal at this point, because it's a better target, but it at least gets out of the board in response to this entering the battlefield. I don't know if it enters the battlefield. It unfortunately does not show me the Vizier. That's kind of annoying. We're going to go Choops. Moment and Hostage Taker. But I have to kind of cling to this card because this card's going to pressure them in a way that a lot of other cards in my hand are not. So they are unfortunately definitely running me down pretty hard, and they can dictate combat steps by making me do this, which is pretty cool. It's a neat deck my opponents put together. I really like it. I mean, granted, they're gold rank 2, so they've been working on this deck pretty hard, and the list is just fantastic. I really like it. But at a point, they're going to run out of targeted removal, and Nizal will answer a lot of the board. Oh man, how does this work? Oh, it's Essence Scatter, so brutal. I think I'm going to have to try to fight it. Oy, this is so bad. Throw that if near Deadlands, and I'll end my turn. I could have maybe followed up with a Golden Demise. I really do not want this to die. I would much prefer to get this exiled. I do still have another Reaver Ambush in my deck, so I really don't want to kill this. I'd prefer to Reaver Ambush it. Kefnet's not a bad draw either. It won't win me the game. Man, we went above our opponents on cards. Above our opponent, we only have one of those on cards, which is really weird. Dead here? I think so. Yeah, I would of course like to block. Yeah, I don't think there's much we can do here. Alright. That's it. I mean, mulligan to 5 against a gold rank 2. And not to say, you know what I mean, the rank really means... I mean, the reason I keep referencing the rank, and it's just like, okay, they won more games than you, so what? The difference is, the more you win, and you all saw it in these videos, the more stuff you get. You get gold, you get cards. It lets you really tinker and fiddle with your deck, so that what you can do is tune it over time. With the wild cards especially, you can pick up rares, uncommons, commons that you really need. So... it helps make the deck better and more consistent, and it lets you go away from like 1s and 2s and 3 drops to now you can play 4 of cards that are very impactful in matches like that, and you can get ahead, like those cast outs and things like that all become 4s in our opponent's deck, and you know, they are very flexible, they're very good, and it creates good gameplay. And I really like the way they built their token deck, not going nuts on the tokens, just getting a few of the key cards that embalm and let them kind of stop the board presence decks, and they also have a lot of really nice options against control. Feels like a really good way to build a control deck. Hats off to the opponent. So since we suffered a loss, we will go ahead and play the good old RGW. Red deck wins, and see if we can sneak out a quick victory against an opponent who's not ready for the beatdowns, and hopefully can do a little bit better than the last time I had it on camera for everybody, I hope. So we'll see what the beatdowns can do for us. Once again, we're starting at this double hijack hand. Cartouche of Zeal into Fire or Fathom Fleet, like 1 creature. I mean, we got to keep it. It's kind of what you sign up for with a deck like this. I would have really liked one of these to have been a creature. Besides, you know, like I would love the 1-drop, but we're not going to get it. We're going to go land go, and that feels real bad with this deck. We'd much rather be casting the little 1/1 haster or the pirate, the 1-drop pirate, who lets you reveal another pirate. Our opponent looked like they had a little bit of trouble connecting at first. Let's see how things fare. Got to give them hellos. I didn't even have the end turn. Sorry about the inhalation of mucus. We're just going to Firebrand here. Looks like we could be against Esper, or we could be against vampires. Or we are against Abzan Explorer is my guess. Have at thee. Guess what I'm doing? Do I wish to reveal a pirate card or pay 2? I wish to reveal a pirate card. Wish to give this guy. I'm gonna give him haste. I'm not in love with it because I'm fearing Golden Demise here. They are already on double black. But 5 damage is 5 damage. Like, I could have there attacked with the Fathom Fleet Firebrand, cast the Rigging Runner. That would have been an option. Had I been on a land, I probably would have gone that route. On to Dawn. It's never land one time, you know? Because I could have just hijack, attacked. That could have been my sequence these next 2 turns, which would have been sweet. Choops! Choops got Choops. Later, Daring Buccaneer. Yeah, you got him. No blocks. Yeesh. Let's swing and see what they do with this Choop. Chances are they throw it away. Usually these decks have a pretty good ability to get their creatures back from the graveyard. I just have to kind of do this so I can play a Rigging Runner and a Rigging Runner. Well, they make very disturbing noises. Good to know. Golden Demise and farts. Trader map and not farts. Fantastic. Very happy. Yeah, we legitimately hold them off with that. We can't progress our board state because I can't draw a red. I can just draw a mountain. I'm pretty sure I'm running 19 or 20. Like, it's not a ridiculous ask. Firebrand seems pretty bad, but I'm going to throw him down just in case. This lets me block up a Monstrosaur if they happen to come out at us with a mountain somehow. And we're just flat ending the turn. And if it dies, I can spew a damage at their face or whatever. It's not great, but I don't feel too bad throwing the Firebrand away. Don't underestimate the power of First Strike. Had a lot of opponents attack stupidly into Rigging Runners, especially with this combo, where you can put a damage on them before blockers, or after blockers before damage. You can fool a lot of newer players with that kind of move. It's never Never mountain one time, you know? I can't afford to throw away my stuff. Like, I just can't afford to throw away my creatures. They're too valuable. He has one creature committed to the board at this point. Just straight up casting Renewed Faith. A lot of respect for the deck. I like that. I like an opponent who's out to live. We're gonna find out what happened there. Or we won't. What the heck just happened? Yeah, what just happened? I think he went to thinking it was combat and clicked on it. I'm not sure what happened. It had to be an honest mistake. I'm just not sure why they were clicking on the Brontodon to begin with. Very odd. I think I'm just gonna play the Trailblazer. I lose to a Golden Demise. Like, there's just no question about it. Oh god, that makes an alarming sound. Every time they tap a black mana, I am just petrified of the Golden Demise. Every time. I don't think they're gonna go. I mean, if they drew it off the Dust Legion Zealot, they would 100% be casting it. My hand is approximately the same as when you saw it last. I imagine they're going to go for the Repeating Barrage to keep 3 off their head, because that's what they did with the Lightning Strike. They could take a hijack. I'm not sure where they want to go. I will 100% be Magma Spraying if they don't take that, because what the heck else am I doing with this Magma Spray? And I need to get that damage in. They took a hijack. Bronte! Hijack. We shoot. We score. It doesn't exactly answer all of our woes, but it helps. That is rough. I'd like to point out that our opponent so far has gained 8 life, once off a cast Renewed Faith, once off a cycled Renewed Faith, and now has gained 10 life this turn. Or this game. I just want to throw that out there. That's what our opponent's game plan is here. I can't, unfortunately, Repeating Barrage the Sunscourge champion. I can try to go for Barrage plus Magma Spray on the Brontodon to get it out of the way to hit with the Trailblazer. That sounds kind of attractive, sadly. It's better. I can't do that combo on the Sunscourge champion. I can only Magma Spray it. I could swing with everything. And then try to take out both the creatures, but that costs me 2 creatures, which is kind of a bad exchange. That's 4 resources for 2, where 2 resources for 1 and then still being able to hit is pretty good. So, this is rough, for sure. I think I'm going to have to sadly go for it. As LSV would say, this is not a coward stream, or in this case, a coward's recording. So, we're going to try to get that damage, and we're going to try to close up this game. If the Sunscourge champion just sits, it holds off 2 Rigging Runners, which is cool, but eventually 2 Rigging Runners will be able to swing in. I was going to say, I'll probably draw Mountain here because I have nothing going on, but Mountain's not a bad draw here because of the raid on Repeating Barrage. So if I can get into combat and the Trailblazer lives, I'm in kind of good shape. Although I could have attacked, not played the Mountain, which may have been a little smarter. That probably was a little loose to just jam the Mountain. What's going on here? Forsake the Worldly. Interesting. Well, I mean, that deals with a lot of the troublesome enchantments that we saw last game, cast outs and the like. Looks like he has the removal. He or she has the removal spell. And it's an expensivo removal spell. So I can get 2 in, go for the Repeating Barrage to the, I think I kind of have to here. because there's a lot of ways I can win from 5 life, or 6 life rather. They're kind of at they're at 3 essentially. If I draw like Cartouche and they don't play a blocker, that wins me the game from 3. If I draw a Lightning Strike, that wins me the game from their 6. All right, Cartouche is off the table. It's a good draw, but I do play a lot of Burn. Burn's still good here. Burn is good. Will we actually get a win with this deck? Please say yes. Yes! I can't believe it. Red deck wins got there. This deck has 2 Glory Breakers. It's got some good cards in it, and it just legitimately drew almost none of them. Hey, Seafloor's good. I don't play Merfolk, but it's a good card. So you can kind of see that red, these like low-end aggro decks do have a little bit of an advantage against these control decks that have kind of becoming, I guess, the metagame's causing them to become a little bit more inbred and making choices that fight against the control decks. The other control decks instead of these aggro or board-based decks. There's a few cards that they can hit. Like, there's no question that Golden Demise would have flat-out wrecked us. Like, 100%. But those mid-rangey... this one was an Obzon deck that we saw. That's a green, black, and white. Cool build. Interesting idea. It just is really hard to deal with the control decks of the format when you're on these mid-range decks. So I feel like, looking at a lot of the... I'll show you the deck archetypes real quick. These kind of more Sun Empire, while Dinosaurs is good, it's not as good as it was. What else we got? The Cats deck, which is a mid-range deck. The Golgari Exploration deck is a mid-range deck. I feel like all these kind of suffer a little bit. Even the Boros and the Brazen Coalition decks have a tough time because the Spellweaving deck, the Azurius deck, the Dimir deck, these are all control builds. Like, that's a really tough one, and I had... these are tough ones to deal with. So if you're going to be low end, in my opinion, be low end. The reason I didn't go Boros with my particular red deck, and I'll show it to you real quick just so you can kind of see what it looks like. The reason I went red, and I'd love this, I mean, unfortunately I can't really spend these cards. I need to actually build my control deck and make that better. Maybe the common help fill out some of my 1-drops. I do need more 1-drops pretty desperately. But you can see it's 1-drops, it's 2-drops, and it's 3-drops. I'd love another on-crop crasher. Captain Leonary Storm's kind of a filler. Combat Celebrant's a filler. Hijack's not a bad way to accidentally win a game. Charging Monstrosaur and Glorybringer. Not bad, not bad. But also not great. Buccaneers Bravado's a 1-of. I'd love to take out because I just don't have enough pirates to make it connect a lot of the time. I'd rather fill it in with a little bit better removal. I'd love to get some Rampaging Ferostodons. Ferostodon there would have been disgusting because they couldn't have gained 8 life. They gained 10 life that game, and we still managed to kill them. But I will point out, and I'm sure all of you are thinking it, well, you got lucky because of that Brontodon play, and you're not wrong. You are not wrong. But I'll take what I can get when I'm playing this deck. But you can see the Boros Assault deck, sorry, I got double click on it, is a little bit different. It's still on the more aggro end, but it's, look at it, it's, you know what I mean, more 4-drops, no 5-drops. There's like a little bit more evasion. Ketras Monument to kind of fill out creatures. Lightning Strike. I mean, like, it's got some good stuff in it. It just doesn't have quite enough, and it also demands a lot of its mana base. Like, you can see it is, and it's 11 white sources, 10 red sources, and then 2 of the mixed color sources. So it demands a lot of its mana base, and you have to get that good mix. You need white and red in your opener a lot of the time to be able to go off on curve, and that makes things really hard. If I were to add another color to my red deck, I would do a very light splash for maybe 1 key card that could get me back into a game from behind, but that would probably be the closest I would go to making it 2 color. I think red is good enough. I don't have any Hazarets yet. I don't have I need more on-crop crashers. I need Ferostodons. I need some stuff to make the red deck good, but I do think the red deck does have a lot of get-there power. I think it has a lot of opportunity for upside, and I think that can all be built in a package that is exclusively red. So I will keep playing these 2 decks for now. So let me know which one you prefer I play. I tend to lean towards the control deck because, again, that's my preferred. But I have no problem jamming a bunch of red games if everyone out there wants to see it, because we are happy to do what you want us to do at Supraliminal Games. And if you want to check out more of our content, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It really does mean a lot to us. We don't have a ton of subscribers yet, and we'd love to continue to build that. Dan and I are putting out arena content. We're streaming at Twitch. We're Supraliminal Films on Twitch. We're pretty much Supraliminal Films everywhere. So if you want us to do more games content, let us know. We're still working on our Pauper content. I actually have all the footage ready to go, and I've started the editing process. And so we're getting all the everything done, but we want that to be really high quality. We have some cool animations in there, some really neat stuff that I think you all are going to dig out there. You get to see a little bit more of the Supraliminal Films crew, Supraliminal Games crew, Supraliminal Films crew. You'll be able to find us everywhere on the internet. Friends of the channel are going to come on to pop-up video, other local grinders. We're going to have a lot of people playing commons at each other, so if you're excited for that, let us know in the comments that you want pop-up video. That's what we're calling it. Probably shouldn't have teased that out. If Dan sees this, he'll get upset. But now you know. So if you want it, comment down below the video that's what you want to see ASAP, and we will have it for you sooner than later. And again, thank you all so much, and take it easy.